Hey there, it's Nilly here, and I thought that I would throw my hat into the ring and do one of these planner videos. So I wanted to share some things with you today. This is my first video on this channel. I have tried to make YouTube videos in the past, however, I never really stuck at it, and to be honest with you, being a YouTuber is not something that I really kind of planned for in my career path. However, here we are, and so I've got some concoction made up of trying to keep this camera, or I should say my phone at the moment, because that's what I'm recording on, and a mic steady as we do this, and I hope that I'm going to be in frame throughout the whole thing. So I wanted to introduce you to the way that I've used my planner and the things that I've learned from using my planner this year. The actual planner that I chose for 2024 was an A5 full year common planner, and I've been obsessed with the content surrounding this planner since I discovered it late 2022. I was too late to order the 2023 lineup, and so I waited patiently, and I just made do with what I had that I'd purchased for 2023 until I can get my hands on the 2024. And so far so good. I've only just recently moved it into an old Hobonichi cover that I've had since, 2018. I started off with Hobonichi, and although I fell in love with the paper, I wasn't so much in love with the layout and the busyness of that planner. And year on year, Hobonichi has done marvelously to release new designs and things like that. But I've always been someone that doesn't really kind of want to jump on the bandwagon of things. I like to purchase items that I know that I'm going to get great value out of and, and enjoy using. However, when I did purchase the planner back in 2018, I tried to make a go of it. It was a bit difficult trying to stick to one page journaling for me, because I am a journaler. And so, sometimes I can write like a paragraph, sometimes I can write half a page, sometimes I need 5 pages, so it's really hit and miss. And I'll show you what I mean with that when I delve further into this planner. So before we kind of get too carried away, I do have some notes for this video. Let's see, where am I? Okay, so why did I choose this planner for myself? I think what I was really looking for, and I was hoping that Hobonichi would have some sort of planner that would have the months, the weeks, and just blank pages. I know that they did a day free version where you've got the monthly spreads, but then you've only got blank pages. You don't have the weeklies. And I decided to kind of park my enthusiasm for a while. And that's when I discovered the Sterling Ink planner, and I fell in love. Like I said, I missed out on purchasing a planner for 2023. However, when I did get my hands on the 2024, I was really ecstatic about it and really excited. Now, obviously, I can't show you an unboxing of it. We're already late into the year. I've already purchased my 2025 planner. So if you stick around, I'll show you what I have for next year and how I plan to use it. By the way, I'm quite wheezy at the moment because I'm just recovering from a chest cold. So I do apologise for that if that comes through on the audio. But we're just rolling with it. I have to do what I have to do. You will hear some real life original soundtrack audios. So bear with me. I'm a mum of 2. I have a cat and I live in London. So there's always traffic on the roads. So that might come through. You might hear some sirens and things like that, which is just the usual thing for us here. So I can't show you the spreads before I started using them. And I'm going to try and keep this as concise as possible, so I can't show you everything. There is a lot of personal stuff in here, so I would just really like to request that you kind of go easy on me, and just allow me to kind of talk about what I've really done with the whole thing. And just kind of like, I know that if you were interested to read some of it, you're welcome to. But I guess what I want to say is keep it to yourselves, please. Okay, so the Sterling Ink Common Planner is phenomenal. Catherine's done an amazing job year in, year out. I really love her planner. Number one, because she uses Tomoe River paper. Number two, she's a fantastic designer. I believe that she's an architect by trade. But then, you know, her love of stationery and design kind of flourished in her later years, and this is what she started to produce. And I feel really lucky to be alive during this time. I won't ramble too long. If you like, I will just fiddle with a few things if it keeps you interested. But the thing that I really loved about Catherine's kind of story is just how she kind of decided to roll her sleeves up and just get on with basically creating something that she would be using herself, and that Hobonichi wasn't really providing for her. I don't know how she has been able to source that much great quality of, like, you know, manufacturing and all of that, but she's done a phenomenal job, and I'm really, really happy with that. And so, you know, I'm very grateful for her, and for, you know, for her using her initiative, as well as, you know, just blessing us with her design acumen, and just being so generous in being able to go to so much hard work to create something phenomenal, which I do believe is going to be something that I am looking forward to supporting year in, year out. So with that being said as well, I'd like to also state that, you know, I'm not really looking for the next new thing. I like to stick to something once I found it and it works for me. And so I just tend to kind of like support the brands that I love, trust, believe in, and just appreciate, to be honest with you. A lot of work goes into any kind of stationery maker, whether it is planners, notebooks, journals, stickers, you know, all that fun stuff and all that good stuff. I tip my hat to anyone who is producing that kind of work and creating amazing products for us. I kind of came up in the planner community in terms of, like, I'm a bit of a lurker. I kind of created my own thing back in the day. Then I retired my business back in 2020, I want to say late 2021, for personal reasons. And although I'm looking forward to making a comeback with that, I'm not in a rush or a hurry. But, you know, back in the day, we had our Erin Condrens, we had the Me and My Big Ideas, I believe it was the Happy Planner, all this kind of stuff that was coming out. And, you know, the planner community, especially in like the UK, Europe and whatnot, was kind of anemic in what we could get our hands on. And it was really expensive to obviously order abroad. Now the expense for some of us doesn't actually matter, because we will willingly kind of part with our hard-earned dosh to be able to get our hands on some awesome gear and, you know, and use it in any which way we want and fancy. But I think the turning point for me was when I discovered Tomoe River paper, and I was deeply fascinated by it. And there were some creators on YouTube from back in the day who would, you know, use mixed media on their journals. They would paint on this paper. They would use their, you know, fountain pens and all sorts of different types of ink. And I really was intrigued by that. I'm a pen lover. I collect pens. It's one of my favorite things. Hopefully I'll make another video at some point with my favorites. And so I was really intrigued by, you know, the disappointments that I had with other planners or notebooks in the past was using my favorite things would mean that, you know, there would be feathering on the paper, there would be bleed through because the paper quality wasn't that great, and then the paper quality became thicker. So although it didn't kind of resolve the feathering issue, it did with the bleed through and whatnot. So there was all these things that, you know, us old timers used to deal with back in the day, until the discovery of the wonderful Tomoe River paper and the Hobonichi. And so I gave it a test run, and although I loved the paper, I did not like the layout. But I really loved the way that Catherine designed her planners. And, you know, I'm really glad that I made that investment, and I will be a loyal customer until, you know, for as long as she is producing these products, I will be purchasing at least one thing from her store each year. So with the common planner, the reason why I chose A5 is because, as you can see, I'm a chunky monkey. I've got quite chunky hands, and my writing in general is quite big. And so I'm more comfortable in a larger layout. It gives me the freedom to let my pen really flow. Gives me the freedom to kind of like decorate the spreads if I want to, or do other weird and wonderful things if I really fancy it. But, you know, as I wore on in this planner, I did kind of get a little bit anxious because I've actually started to write really small due to the little square spaces, obviously, in these grids. And, you know, by training myself to do that, you know, it was quite daunting that one page would actually suffice in actually writing a lot if writing was all I was going to do. And for a time, it did work. It was lovely. Excuse me. It was lovely to use in that way. But then life just got in the way and it crept up on me, and I felt really kind of anxious for quite some time, and I didn't kind of plan or do any kind of journaling for quite some time. But we'll get into that further later, hopefully. Just checking my notes again. Okay, so yes, the clean design got my imagination running wild. And so the next thing is that the thing that I discovered this year about myself is that I'm unable to plan or stick to plans when I'm dysregulated. And my dysregulation is due to complex PTSD. That's something that I have been researching a lot more this year and trying to educate myself on. So this year, what happened was that I started off quite strong, and I had all intentions and purposes to want to kind of like, you know, plan better, plan ahead, and really give myself room to grow. And then, you know, you don't know what you don't know, and the workings of my mind and my emotions and, you know, things that I have struggled to deal with do play a major part in, you know, part in daily life. And so this summer, I think my dysregulated state kind of climaxed during the summer months. And upon my return, I felt like I was kind of like a shell of myself. And so, and, you know, no surprise, I actually become, you know, quite unwell as well. And during my recovery, I spent a lot of time really thinking, just being with myself. And I turned to YouTube and I was, you know, watching, I found myself searching for creators out there that are generous to show how they use their journals, how they use their planners. And I always take inspiration from creators online who, without knowing, have helped me through some of the most difficult times of my life. And I'm very grateful for all of you. Hopefully one day I get to speak about you in more detail. And then basically what happened was I decided, when I looked back in my plan, I saw that I had so many missing spaces, like I hadn't used it at all. Mainly my monthly spreads and my weekly spreads, and, you know, the note pages at the back didn't really matter because they weren't dated, so I didn't feel like I was losing space, if you will. And then basically I just felt like I had to kind of, you know, get back to me. And the way that I do that as a journaler is I journal. You know, I start to write and I let myself write whatever comes up, and I do that until you know, I need to kind of like crack on with life. So journaling in my planner helps me to regulate myself and stop living at the speed of thought. That's what I've written down here. So during my time that I took time to rest and heal, it occurred to me that I hadn't been journaling. And that's not one of my ways that I really kind of find my way back to some semblance of normality and kind of escape from the chaos that is my life. And so, yeah, and that's basically the short version of it. The Tomoe River paper and pens that feel good to write with are my essentials. These are my primary essentials. So, again, I've spoken about the paper here, but, you know, it's the paper that most suits my pens, and I really enjoy using my pens on this paper. And it's not just pens, you can paint in it. I like having options to be able to paint, to do other things, to use a variety of my stash. Do apologise, it is getting darker, so there's lots of shadows here. I may need to turn on more lights. Let's see, how does that work? Is that better? We shall see at the end, because this is a one take thing, remember? So yeah, and basically it was, you know, this kind of like journey of discovery and exploration for me has been immense. I've learned so much. I really appreciate going on this kind of creative flex, if you will, to try and find out, you know, what kind of gels with me, what do I enjoy, and through that I learn so much more about myself. It inspires me to keep learning and, you know, figuring more stuff out as I go along. So in any case, that is the big idea there. So basically what I noticed was that when I decided to kind of start journaling again to regulate myself, I challenged myself to write every day when I saw how many pages I'd missed. But this then led on to the fact that it stopped me from purchasing another A5 full year for next year. Because of the fact that I have so many more pages to not catch up on, but to fill in the back. As you can see, this is pretty much what I've done so far, and I've got about this much left. And I just couldn't justify purchasing another full year when I knew that I had so many spaces that I could still utilize. Now, although we'll be going into 2025, you know, and being a person that's trying, you know, that likes to be resourceful, likes to be able to kind of make use of all the stuff that I've got. And, you know, I have plenty in my stash of papers, notebooks, journals, pens, stationery, ephemera, all of that stuff. I'm quite excited by the prospect of shopping from home, if you will, and to use up all my other notebooks and journals that are kind of like half filled or have been started but haven't kind of really completely thrown myself into it and whatnot. And so I thought, you know, I can continue using this throughout 2025 to do my journaling, if you will, and sort of like leave myself breadcrumbs leading into a new planner or other notebooks that I'm just going to do a crossover with. And I spent some time just journaling about it today, and I thought to myself, you know, I think a year's worth of kind of shopping from home and using up what I have is going to be really good for me. And it's going to be a good exercise to really kind of like discipline myself for figuring out what is my thing. What are my signature products that I go to and invest in? What's my signature style, you know? And these kind of things really fascinate me, and I'd really like to kind of hone that more in over the coming year. And, you know, and I thought that if all goes well, I will be coming back to an A5 full year again, and it will be my catch-all. It will be everything. It will be my planner, it will be my journal, it will be my commonplacing, it will be my archiving, memory keeping, all of that stuff. I quite like the idea of having one book that basically showcases your life over a period of time. And I like the fact that once you're done with it for the year, you can put it aside and start a new one. I used to have a separate notebook or journal for everything. And I think that's what kind of threw me off in life. Excuse me, a wheezy chest. Because what I found was I was using them in spits and spurts, but I wasn't really kind of doing it on a regular basis. But when I have everything in one place, I really enjoy that. Now, of course, it's kind of like counterproductive. Well, then, Nilly, you're saying that you want one book to have it all, right? One book to rule them all, if you will. But how's that going to work if you're going to be journaling here and planning somewhere else? And you're going to be using up other stationery? Well, my plan is to go through one book at a time. So if I'm going to finish all these pages, I won't start another book that I may have, you know, just kind of abandoned a couple of years ago that has maybe 20 pages filled until I have finished this one. And I'm just going to keep going through a relay like a relay race with all of them, if you will, throughout the year until I've completed them. And then I will gift myself a brand new common planner, if you will, and it will be an A5. So there we have it. So let's get going with a few things. I can show you the inside cover. I decided to decorate it like this. I also love another creator on here, another Catherine actually, from Catnip Studios. She has an amazing channel. If you haven't kind of discovered her, go and check her out. She does amazing stationery as well. And I really love her art style. And she has these gorgeous little characters. There's actually a pocket on this. I can't remember why I stuck it down. I think I stuck it down because I take Instax photos, and I planned to kind of like slot them in here, and then find time to journal about them. But as you'll see later, I've actually done that already, and I forgot that there was a pocket here. So yeah, I ordered, I believe I ordered some stickers from her, and I got this little vine sticker, which I really loved. And I stuck that down, and I, you know, Catherine's business card here, as well as her sample stickers when the planner arrived, I stuck them here. And then from my stash, I found some other stickers that I, you know, quite like, and I made like a nice collage of them. So I enjoyed doing that, and that was, yeah, that was quite enjoyable. It's not something that I flip to regularly. I find it really hard to go right to the beginning when I'm going the other way, when I'm planning and journaling. So that's that. And then on this inside cover, I've got some post-it notes for myself where I have essentially given myself instructions or directions to plan or journal about. I had this print in my stash for many years, and it is a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. And I really loved it, and I wanted it as a nice reminder. And I do often reflect on this, so it's nice. It's a beautiful design that I like. I have a couple more. I might use them in other pages when I carry on journaling. And then each year, what I like to do for myself is I like to write myself a card. You could call it a love letter. You could call it just like your own card sort of thing. I love receiving cards. And I have done, and I've tried to keep as many over the years as I could. I used to have more when I was younger, that I kept from like since I was born. But through a fit of mental disturbance about a decade ago, I threw all my personal belongings away. But in any case, it is what it is. But I've taken up the tradition to actually write myself a card each year. And I like to choose a card that means something to me. And these are beautiful water lilies. My name actually means water lily, hence, hello, channel name. But because people butcher my name when they pronounce it, it's Nilly for short. But Water Nilly is my kind of nickname online, if you will. And that's how I'm kind of branding myself now. So there we are. So that's meaningful to me. I won't open it up because it's a personal, you know, it's just for me. I tried to kind of like circle birthdays and things like that, but I didn't get too far in using that on this kind of like yearly dashboard of all the dates. And it didn't quite work out for me, you know, in terms of utilizing it. But you'll see in the new planner what I really love that Catherine's done, that I'm really excited about when I show you near to the end of the video. And then basically we have, I did a word of the year spread. My word of this year was priorities. It's really fascinating when you go to choose something for yourself and how it actually plays out throughout the year. I found that year on year, when I've chosen my word for the year, it has weaved its way into my life. Then we have I believe this is the goal breakdown spread, and this was really ambitious for me. I actually spent a lot of time really giving this a lot of thought, and I really wanted to give it a go with actually breaking down my goals. And I felt very nervous doing it because it didn't feel right for me to kind of like break down goals in this way for myself. But I gave it a go, and the way that I did was I created an identity and I gave it a name for each of my goals, or goal areas or categories, if you will. And I really racked my brain to be like, you know, what I would like that to look like on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, 1 year on, and someday, you know, in those aspects. And then I chose a different pen color because I thought that when I'm working on this throughout the year, I will use these pens to color code my entries. Now, that didn't quite happen because the thing that I've noticed, and by the way, quick pause to mention Megan Rhiannon. If you haven't discovered her, please go and check her out. She is amazing. And I love her color dot system for when she does her commonplacing. So she carries her key throughout all of her commonplacing, planning, journaling, whatever it is. And that was really inspiring because she tends to use just one pen to actually write with. And basically, I'm just going to put that there because, you know, I feel like it's a bit too much attention over my private stuff. And basically what she tends to do is in her color coding system, she uses just one black friction pen, I believe it is. She writes with that, and then she just uses these colored dots to be able to, you know, not index, but like to, you know, to have a key for all of her entries. So as she's flicking through, or if she goes through her archival process, she's going to save it for in a different binder or something like that. She can just kind of like take those pages out or, you know, archive it in a way that is suited to her. I was really inspired by that. And although I hadn't discovered her by the time I'd started doing this, I thought that actually creating my own color code key just by using a different colored pen would be really interesting. So I was going to give it a go, but then I realized, nah, I need the flexibility to write with whatever I want to write with, whenever I want to write with it. If I start to kind of regiment it for myself, if I start to kind of make it about, oh, I'm thinking about this topic, or this is the thing that I want to write about at the moment, and it's in this category, and choosing a particular, like I can only use the green pen for it when I really feel like using pink. You know, it just, I'm more flexible in that way, and I prefer that. I actually have loads of pens, and I use them all because I rotate them all the time. In any case, that's a longer story for another day. But she did actually make me stop and wonder about it and think about how I could actually make use of that in my planning and journaling and whatnot. But yeah, I'm going to go with just using whatever I want to use whenever I want to use it. Although some specific pens, especially particularly broad nib pens, do serve as creating titles for my entries, and you'll see that later on as well. So we had that, and then basically I want to say I'll turn to this page, even though I didn't use the quarter two. But then Catherine has designed the quarterly pages, which basically breaks down the year into 4 quarters. And on the left hand side, you get to list your priorities. You've got, you know, you've got spaces for the 3 months ahead. And you've got this kind of like vertical layout of the 3 months as well. And I experimented with how I was going to use it a little bit, but I didn't really do really well with that. So then today, what I decided to do was kind of like create a guide for myself for when I start using my 2025 planner, how I would do that for myself. So what I've discovered is that the reason why I was reluctant to use the quarterly pages was because I don't think or plan in the same way as people kind of train you to do. And I know that you can, you know, do it your way and everything. It's just that I didn't really know what my way would be. But I used enough of the quarterly sections. I believe quarter 1 and 3 were the ones that I really went in to use it. But it didn't really sit well with me. It's not something that I would refer back to. Because again, I like to, you know, in some instances, I actually like to go linear. Like, I'd like to just move on in those ways. I don't want to feel like I've got to go back and refer to something, especially when it's really far back at the beginning of the book, when I'm making so much progress, continuing on this way. I don't know. It's just maybe just a psychological blip for me. But it is the way that it is. So these are my ideas for a future use of the quarterly pages, and I use the quarter 4 spread to be able to hash it out. And what I wrote here was I didn't make use of these spaces too well as I struggled to plan too far ahead with my shifting needs. So in future, I'd like to use these quarterly pages to review the months instead. So rather than actually planning out here into the quarters for what's to come, I'd rather come back here and reflect on how that particular month or that quarter went. So then we've got these sections here for the months, right? And I decided to split the section up here to create an area to record the focus of the month. And then the largest section underneath it would be a review of the month, if I just wanted to keep it plain and simple like that. Then I thought to myself, sometimes I might not want to do it that way. I might want to split it into two, where the variation of it would be categories. So it could be a category for work, it could be a category for health, for instance. And then I can split this larger box down the middle. And then I thought, well, if you're going to have two variations, maybe think about a third. And the third one that came to me was a variation to split into three. So it's by kind of like a specific and a single thing. So a specific and single project, specific and single subject, or specific or single interest, right? So I can then split it into three if I wanted to. It could be, project 1, project 2, project 3, or it could be this is a project, this is a subject that I'm studying, and this is a special interest that I'm engaging in with that month, or have engaged in that month. And then basically what I did was I counted the squares to be able to split it into three. So 12 squares if you want 3 spaces. Obviously the 18 squares is, Catherine has made a single like darker grey dot, so you can split the page like into 4s if you wanted to. But if you wanted to know, to get to the middle when you're on the page, in any area of the page, is 18 squares to the middle. So I just gave myself those kind of guides to be like, okay, so if I wanted to split it up like that, I could. And then basically the grey lines were quite faint because I might use a colour to create these divides. I only did it in the red just to kind of make it stand out and easy to read for me, to know that this is a guide for me. This is not my actual spread. It's not the live spread, if you will, that I'm using. And I've got these really thin washi strips. I'll show you. I bought some washi tape years ago and they sent me like these really, really thin ones as well. And I've really just like not been using them at all. But sometimes in lieu of using actual kind of like pen lines, I use these little strips because they're quite tiny. So I split them in the sections like that to see that this is 1 month. This is a month section, this is a month section, and this is a month section. And then over on the right hand side of the page where you've got the vertical months and then you've got all the days in the columns. And, again, in quarter 1 and quarter 3, I actually used it in different ways. But this time, what I want to do, and I know that I would be interested in revisiting these spreads if I use it in this way, is I'm going to keep this as like an index for page content, right? I'm going to use a specific keyword to indicate what was written on that page and add the page number. And so that's basically what I'm thinking of doing in terms of like, what I'm using throughout here. So that way, for anything that I've journaled, so even though I'll kind of be ignoring the dates here, what I've journaled in October, or I might even correspond it with a date because I do always date my entries. But in any case, I can block it off to say, oh, these were work notes. Oh, this was when I was, making notes from a podcast that I was listening to or whatnot and blah, blah, blah. So that's this section that I wanted to do. But then you've got these top spaces as well. And I thought, well, it's enough space to do a quote or an affirmation or mantra or even a prayer. So rather than just kind of stick it, just making it only quotes or only affirmations, I've given myself 3 varieties that I can use on a, whatever I fancy basis, basically. And then the bottom part here is an excellent space to review as well, further review the month that I've just had. So I can review the results of the quarter. I can write about what can be improved. And I can also write about what I'm most grateful for. I can decide to keep it like this, or I can even just focus on one element of this and use all these spaces here. So that's what I've decided to do moving forward for myself. Now, I can't remember what I've written here. Right, so this planner, before it goes into the monthlies for the new year, comes with a December of the previous year. And I decided to use it for a brain dump of ideas. So I use each square to brain dump ideas and kind of like make notes for myself. And then I obviously decorate with some stickers. Moving forward, can I do this? Yes. So in any case, I started to use my monthly spreads, and this was quite, I want to say, challenging for me because there was a lot of things going on here. Now, what I tried to do was kind of track my cycles, all right? And my cycles with their, you know, with the inner seasons. So summer, autumn, winter, spring, and then summer again. And this is the way it was going to show up. And in the timelines of my weeks, I would kind of try and plan out activities and work projects and things like that based on my cycle. So when it was my winter, I wouldn't, you know, I pretty much, you know, like I wanted to, like, you know, for instance, I had oh my goodness, I can't even speak. So in my inner winter, so this is, you can see that these spaces are quite blank because this time, which I estimated to be my inner winter, isn't really a time that I really want to be so sociable. I want to kind of like give myself time to rest and, you know, do the things that I need to do to kind of rest during my cycle, and being on my period, because it can really take it out of me. And so I was trying to be mindful of that. So I was tracking that here, and then I was doing some other things. But to be honest with you, throughout, like, I mean, this is my favorite spread. I think this is my favorite monthly spread because this was Ramadan. And during Ramadan, I basically stuck down these stickers that I had laying around, and each day I would color it in. Even though I didn't write anything here, it was, yeah, it was just, you know, it was enjoyable for me. And I used some stickers from a previous Ramadan journaling kit that I made years ago. And yeah, in any case, I've tried to kind of do a variety of things, but I've never really settled on what really worked for me. I tried to make it like use it really well, but it was just hit and miss for me, to be honest with you, throughout the year. And then basically what happened was, as I did that, as you can see, it's like there was no coherence to any of it really. But you can see that, you know, the way that Catherine's made these spaces, that it's all in the grayscale, which I really love. There's plenty of space to kind of document and write and whatnot. The space was big enough for me and I enjoyed that, but I've never been able to truly kind of utilize it in a way that I really wanted to. And I wish I was someone that could, like, you know, keep to a calendar that was always consistently good, if you will, or consistent style. I would just do my best, really, to be honest. But one of the things that I did was a tip-in actually recently. So for one of my clients, I had some loose paper work notes for them that came out like of one of my random tote bags. And I didn't want to throw it away, and I didn't want to really write it out by hand again. So I just grabbed like a spare envelope. And this was a month that I was kind of like in... Oh, where was I? This is July. Yeah, this was the month that I was kind of doing some work with them. In any case, I basically put the notes, the loose paper notes into this envelope, and I've done a tip in here. So if I wanted to kind of like readdress some of that stuff, I can just find it there. But it's not urgent for me. But yeah, basically, I've tried to do that. And then, you know, I had some inspiring ideas for what I would do for my spread moving forward in my new 2024 planner, which I'll share near to the end. And then basically the weeklies, just, you know, I had all the best intentions to make it more of like a health vlog. But really it just wasn't working out for me. And as you can see, it's just been like a massive, like, really like kind of, you know, mishmash of what I would do. Sometimes I just use it for journaling and some stickers, and sometimes I do some like time blocking and things like that. But I could never really stay with anything consistently, and it really bugged me. So yeah, so what I've done is basically, because I've got so many spreads that are like, let's say, I want to say like here, yeah. Like this is back in May. I've got like from May to July, I was really, I want to say, where did I go to? Maybe up until July. From May to July, I really didn't use these spreads at all. As you can see, there's pages and pages of it. And even though that bugs me, I had a really brilliant aha moment before I went away in the summer, is that I will use these spare pages, if you will, that, you know, I've obviously kind of expired in the timeline of life. But what I can do is I can repurpose them as note pages and, you know, areas to make lists on projects and master tasks and things like that for clients, or for a particular project for myself. Like, I think I've even got that one here, really. Where did I have it? Yes, so this one. Recently, I was talking to my family about making zines for the family, like to just kind of print and send to family members all over the world. And so I was thinking of the categories of the ones that I would like to create. So that's going to be like a little hobby, a family hobby activity that I'm going to engage with my kids with. And so, you know, I used each title area up here, each 7, you know, all the 7 columns into 7 different categories. And so when I'm ready to kind of like brainstorm that more, I can do that, you know. So even though there's a lot of, you know, missed pages, if you will, it's not lost, because you can always repurpose it. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to doing, you know, from here on out, basically. And then one day, maybe I might go through and read my journals and planners and see how crazy it was for me. But yeah, you know, and that's the thing, is like the decision that I made in my new planner for the next year was due to the fact that I didn't really utilize this in real time. So I'm going to try something new for next year, and I'll tell you all about it then. Okay, so we've done the creative ways to repurpose empty spaces, how I've done mine, a bit of show and tell. I've done that with you. Okay, so yes, so basically we're up to the point where I'm just going to do a quick reveal of my 2025 planner. Obviously this isn't a strict kind of unboxing. I'm trying my best here. Unfortunately, I can't really edit videos at the moment because I have quite old devices, and the only thing that I can really use to record is my phone, and I can't edit on it because my videos tend to be really long and it's a tedious thing to edit videos on a tiny screen. That's why we're doing a one-shot video. But in any case, I've gone with the N1 horizontal compact full year common planner, right? For 2025, and I've gone for the tweed cover. And I actually used to journal in this size, and I do really enjoy the regular kind of TN size inserts and things like that. So I was really ecstatic when Catherine launched this size as a planner, and I went for tweed. I thought I'd give it a go from black. Let's see what it will be like, sort of thing. It's a slight textured cover, like you can tell there's a slight texture. It's not obviously a genuine tweed, the fabric, but it looks like it for sure. There is a slight texture, and I would say it's got like a waxy feel to it. Yeah, it's quite waxy is what I'd say. Not velvety, but waxy. Yeah. So that's really nice. And it comes with a beautiful dashboard, which I unfortunately kind of leant on and bent a little bit. And I can't even tell you, one day I will talk about this, but the fact that this one was sent to me is so apt. And I'm really, really glad that I got this one. So that pencil board, if you will, dashboard or whatever you want to call it, is really good. And then I've obviously I've basically taken some notes that I'll show you later. But the reason why I'm going with sterling ink again is due to the fact that Catherine, I'm not sure if she's reading my mind, but it feels like it. And I really love to be understood. So I absolutely adore what she, in her lineup. I think she did a fantastic job of her releases, creating content around it. I exclusively follow her only on YouTube because I'm not on other social media platforms. And so I was really grateful for the way that she broke down every single new release that she will be doing for 2025. She was very clear, very well thought out, very FAQ orientated, which it was chef's kiss. Like, it really dispelled any doubts or worries or concerns that I had, as if she was speaking to me and speaking to my, anxieties around which planner to buy next, and to make that decision easy for me. She made that amazing content, which I really appreciate. So it was a no-brainer when I came to decide which one to actually buy. And so I went with this one. It will have a cover. I actually have the cover that I made many years ago, and I'm going to put that in there. But the setup of this will be coming at another time. And so basically, it had to be sterling ink. I mean, you really, honestly, like, the paper quality is amazing. The design spreads are amazing. She's really, really given us a lot of thought, and she's created these spaces for us. And I just really enjoy the way that she is an awesome designer. So yeah, it's a no-brainer that this will be my 2025 planner moving forward. I got the compact because, again, I don't want as much kind of pages hanging over the latter end of 2025. I anticipate that I will use this all up, and I'll be even more happy if I finish the note pages before 2025 is over even, because it gives me a chance to actually kind of use more of my own stationery that I have lying around at home. But that's why it's like, because this is really going to be more about my project planning and my work planner. I have a couple of other planners that I bought from Tiger, but they are kind of like live on my desk planners. They're not ones that I'm going to be carrying with me, and they're certainly not ones that I'm going to be journaling in, but they will be ones that I put appointments in, and it's like a family calendar situation. So the family can go and rifle through it if they want to see what's going on or what's coming up in our plans for the month. And then I have a separate weekly planner as well. So I have a month to view, which is like an A4 size. And I have a week to view, which is like a US letter size, I would say. And they will be for different things, and I'll go into that another time, hopefully. This video is already going to be extremely long. So in any case, that's the one that I'm going for. That's the one I've gone for. Forget going for it. It's already done. It's a done deal, babes. So, yeah. So then what I want to come down to is basically what I figured out today is that I want to say, can you believe, on the 22nd of September, that's when I started to look at all the pages that I had remaining. And I sat and I journaled about it. And from then, I didn't even count, like from then until today, so essentially up until this page, right? From then until today, I've done about 50 pages, which is phenomenal. And I'm really proud of myself for that, actually. And you can see, like, there's some decorating, lots of writing, and a couple of spread designs, like how I can make the pages more interesting to actually write in. Big spreads, but small, like, narrow columns is really working out for me. And I really want to, I'm so grateful to Megan Rhiannon for her passion for margins. It's a game changer. Like, I was already doing stuff in that way, occasionally where like this, right? Like back in the day. But honestly, she really opened my eyes to using margins on a more regular basis, and it's working out really well. But it has also inspired how I can create more space, you know, more space in the sense of like, obviously I'm not expanding the pages even further, but it gives me a place to kind of like nestle into and, you know, let my writing flow, if you will. So from, I want to say here, 22nd of September till today, which is the 14th of October, I've done about 50 pages. So I've marked out the rest of the pages to see if I actually hit that from October to November. In roughly about a month, will I be doing another 50 pages? So I've given all of that. And if I kind of manage it, I'm going to get to about here till the end of the year, I believe. And then I will have just this many pages left. So even though it looks daunting and it looks a lot, I'm actually making a lot of headway. I mean, obviously I've got a lot to say to myself, but also like I'm kind of documenting things. I'm not being strict with myself. I'm not telling myself I can only do this and that here. This is literally my catch-all. It is everything. It's brain dumping, it is planning, it is journaling, memory keeping, anything and everything that needs to be written gets written in here. So that's how I'm using all of that. And what else have I got to show? Let me see. Let's go back to my little video notes. Gosh, I'm so professional, aren't I? Okay, so we're going to end with a quick chat about my new planner and what I'm going to use the spaces for. Yes, so there we have it. That's how I've been using my 2024 Common Planner by Sterling Ink. And yeah, for now it's in here. I love it. And it's really, you know, it works for me. Basically, it just gives me peace of mind that I can take it anywhere and just use it when I'm out and about. And so let's get to the actual Common Planner. And again, sorry, the lighting's really cack, but there we go. I'm trying to be more creatively open with myself and just kind of get things done and kind of worry about how it's going to look later. You know, if it bothers anyone, I'm sorry, but there we are. That's the life we live. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm going to, so what I found with this planner actually, let's first things first. It doesn't actually lay flat, like because of and that is because it's narrow, right? So there's nothing wrong with the planner. There's nothing wrong with Catherine's design. It's just the nature of it. It's just going to be that way. That doesn't bother me because you can train the spine to obviously lay flat. So, but you know, that's just one of the things. Obviously, if it's near to the middle, then it's more balanced and it will lay flat even better. But, you know, it will be hard to kind of expect it to lay flat on first opening, which, again, I don't mind. You just end up training it. I haven't trained it so hard because I wanted to at least show you the newness of this planner before I get going with it fully. So what I really love with this kind of yearly dashboard of all the dates, the calendar here, the year to view, is that Catherine has created a space at the bottom. And I really, really appreciate that because I'm really going to use this to, and I said it, look, I said, really appreciate this box, adding special dates here, easy flip to. Yes, this will make it more important for me to come back to this page because I have a space that I can actually track the important dates of the year. For instance, when Ramadan begins, when are the Eids, when is Hajj season, all of that stuff related to my faith. And also, you know, and obviously to kind of like maybe even like some birthdays and things like that. Just the special occasion stuff. And then this spread is, we have a blank spread on 2 pages, which is just her grids. For this, I'm going to, oh yeah, there we are. For this, I'm going to write a love letter to myself. I'm not sure if I'll continue with using, you know, choosing a word for the year. It might be something that I journal about in the back pages, but here is where I'm going to actually, rather than the card that you saw earlier on in this video, this is where I'm going to be writing my love letter to myself for the year ahead. For the goal breakdown, I'm going to actually this year, well, for 2025, what I'm going to try doing is I'm going to do this gradually over the year. So I'm not going to go gun-ho like I did earlier on this year and fill it all to the max and whatnot. I felt like that was too overwhelming. And I think that after going through that experience, I didn't want to revisit it again. But I'm going to give it another shot. But this time I'm going to do it gradually. And, you know, and I'm going to kind of challenge myself to come back here to reflect on this each month. Maybe there's something that I can fill in here or whatnot. And if I don't end up using it for goal breakdowns, I'm sure that I can repurpose it for something else. And that's great too. Then we have this is a new yearly tracker that she has made part of her designs for all her planners this for 2025. And for this, I'm tracking my cycle. So I'm going to pencil in the estimated times or the seasons that I am in my cycle. And then I'm going to use highlighters to actually like block out the rows for when I'm actually experiencing that aspect of my cycle. And that is going to be like, I love the fact that there is one exclusive space dedicated specifically for that. So I'm going to look, I'm going to do that. And obviously, I won't be, highlighting the entire width of the column. So I can always take notes of like, this particular week was rough, this particular week was productive, whatever it is, leave myself some kind of like clues and breadcrumbs as to how I experience my cycle that month. Yes, so we've already gone through the quarterly kind of planning, if you will, but rather than me using it as a planner, I'm going to use it as a quarterly review. So each month I will do a monthly review, and then I will use the spaces as I indicated in my A5 common planner. And then we have the monthly spreads. So even though I'm going to be using this to plan my work projects and things like that, I don't do too well when it comes to scheduling things for my work, because it can be hit and miss. Sometimes I can dedicate a day or a couple of days or a week to something and it doesn't end up happening. So for me, it's more about kind of master planning. So I don't know when I'll be able to get going with actually working on creating the things that I need to do for my business and things like that. But what I do know is that if I plan the work first, which is what I'm really kind of focusing on this year, because I'm kind of taking like a gap year, if you will, from business, if you will, because I really want to get more organized in my life. I really want to, I want an organized home. I want an organized, devices and all of that. I want to do like digital decluttering as well as, as my physical environment. I really want to become intentional about what I invite and accept into my life, and the things that matter to me. And I don't want to hoard anything in any capacity. And it's going to take time. And I'm also kind of like trying to focus on my health. And so to be able to do that well, I'm giving myself this year, I'm giving myself 2025, inshallah, if I live to, experience this entire year, I'm giving myself permission to take the pressure off myself of creating a business, and new product lines and things like that. And I'm going to get my foundation right, which is get better organized, get more intentional, be more creative, play more, learn more, do more of the things that matter to me. So for the calendar spread, instead of using it to schedule in the work, which is not something that I, like I said, do very well. Kind of like forward planning for me doesn't tend to work out so well. And it kind of pushes me to do a lot of marathon sprints, and which is what I've done in the past, and I've burnt out very badly from that. So I've learned my lessons, and I'm taking my time, but I'm being more than taking my time, I'm being intentional. So instead of using this to kind of like document work sessions or appointments and things like that, which is what I was saying about my desk planners, excuse me, my desk planners will do all the kind of like the nitty gritty day in day out logistical kind of planning for family life and personal matters and things like that. But this is somewhere that I really want to kind of use as like a space for gratitude, or a highlight of the day, or a new gain in health, or to journal about later. So I can use these spaces to basically log something and or give myself a breadcrumb to pick up later on and, you know, journal about, which is really exciting because I've also bought, I can't wait until it arrives, from the Coffee Monsters Co. I'm a first time buyer from her, from Helen. I've got a nice little haul coming from her, and I'm looking forward to decorating this space and utilising it to track the things that I'm grateful for, highlight of the day, new gain in health, and maybe to even journal about later. So that's what I plan to use the month to view spread for. And then we've got the weeklies. So the weeklies that I've chosen this year, because again, like I said, I didn't do too well with the vertical things. Although I'll show you what I did do. I started doing when I was in Turkey. Here we go. Where are we? Okay, so what I did do was, like, if I was kind of like making notes and tracking things, and obviously I'd have all this white space, what I'd end up doing was like this journaling to fill in the gaps, like a review of my week, which was great. And another thing, oh my goodness, how can I even forget? My most favourite thing that I discovered this year is having a note. Let me see. Yes. I discovered that I actually, my goodness, I absolutely adore this so much. So I've created a note list for myself. I had all of these words, these note words, and basically I didn't know what to do with them. So I started to put them in my week to review. Sorry, I just feel a bit disorientated because I just realised that my mic has been unplugged this whole time. I have no idea how the audio is going to sound to you. I'm really sorry if it's cack. I promise you my videos will get better and I will try to do them earlier on in the day. But yeah, I've just realised it's unplugged because I've got my charger plugged in. Of course, Nilly, of course you'd do this. In any case, so I basically create a note list for myself, and that has been amazing actually. And look, I even kind of journaled about it here, because look, right, basically I had these little stickers that were like, you know, trash days, you know, when you're going to take your trash out and whatnot. But I don't need to kind of document that kind of stuff. So I use them as like bin the crap from my head days, you know. So each week I would have like a note list section, and it was just like what I'm saying no to, what I'm actually noping out of for that week. And that was really good actually, and I really enjoyed that. I think I might carry that tradition on, maybe in other spreads later, but we'll see, you know. But I really recommend it. If you haven't tried it, definitely start keeping a note list, at least on a weekly spread, right? And just kind of add to it throughout the week, of the things that you're literally noping out of. So for this year, what I wanted to try was a horizontal layout. So it's a bit like the Hobonichi weeks, isn't it? So the left-hand side is the week that's numbered and dated. And then you have a blank page on the right. And the way that I'm going to use this, now the writing's really fine, faint, I should say, because I used a pencil here. So what I'm thinking of doing, and this is actually inspired by Helen from the Coffee Monsters Co. I was watching one of her videos today, the August 2024 planner update video, and it is the ADHD planner section of her video. This is what has inspired the way that I'm going to use these weekly spreads on this right hand side. But to keep it simple for myself and enjoyable as well, and really easy, because I think that the more, like, less friction I have, the less kind of like obstacles I have to using things and doing things, the more I actually do it and the more I enjoy it. And the more I enjoy it, the more I actually stick at it. And the more I stick at it, it becomes habitual, which is great. So I'm going to split this section down. So the left-hand column near the dates is going to be a category. So I will, you know, indicate whether it's work or health or anything else, a category, okay? And then next to it, I'm going to have the focus. So it is like, you know, for instance, in work, draft a mock-up of the homepage, you know, which is the goal, right? Let's say that's the goal. But then this right-hand section is where I'm going to itemize the list as I begin the work or study, right? So if the goal for that day is draft a mock-up of homepage, then basically in this left-hand column, I'm going to put the date of when I've started to do that. Because sometimes I might write something in, but I might not do that drafting until maybe Friday, right? So for me, it doesn't matter when it gets done, as long as it gets done. So I might write it in on a Monday. I might pick it up on a Wednesday, if you will. The point is that I want to track my work that I do. So this is like where I'm really going to do that. It's not so much of planning ahead. It's more like tracking what I'm doing, what I'm focusing on that day. And that makes more sense to me. And I'm going to give it a go, see how it is. And obviously over time, I can also show you that as well. So I'm going to put the date, and then I'm going to itemize the list as I begin the work or study. Then I'm going to add a split line. And again, this is all inspired by Helen, for when I need to walk away, right? But also along the split line here is I'm going to actually put the time that I walk away, because that for me will indicate a lot of different things. It could be that I have prayer. It could be that I have a regular workout session or something like that. It will just kind of show me what I actually stopped working for, depending on the time of day. So yeah, that's what I plan to do on this page, and that's how I'm going to use the weeklies. And then we get to the note pages sections. So basically, for me, this is going to be the first spread of this. I want to actually journal about what I'm working towards this year. What are the things that matter to me the most, that if I were to focus on it for 1 year would make a massive difference in my life? That's what I'm going to be focusing on when it comes to this spread, or however many pages it's going to be for me to journal that. But then basically the remaining pages is, it's process journaling, catch-all for ideas and inspiration around my work projects. Bigger goals breakdown. We have the goals breakdown section, which I feel like is more like the place to display it. But I think that figuring out can happen in these pages. And then project planning, So process journaling is not for my personal processing, if you will. It's more about, that's what I will use the remaining pages of my 2024 planner to do, if it's more personal. This is like process journaling for, the work ahead or the project that I'm focusing on and things like that. Because it takes me a while to figure things out. Sometimes I watch tutorials. Sometimes I have an idea of my own, but I need to kind of hash it out on a paper to be able to see if it will work. So that's what I'm basically going to be using this, because this is going to be a predominantly work, study, journal, if you will, planner for me. And that's basically what I plan to use it for here on out. And we'll see how we go. In any case, thank you so much for being patient with me if you've watched this far. I would love to meet you. So if you'd like to join me in the comments at any time, feel free to leave one and let me know what you're using. Let me know if there's any ahas from this year from using your planner. What has it kind of like taught you? If you've got any of your own tips and advice, I'd love to hear it as well. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope that you have a lovely evening wherever you are. We are well into the evening now. I really appreciate your patience with me. I do apologize about the quality of things, but then again, sorry, not sorry, such is life. But this has been awesome, and I feel really pumped that I did this, because it takes me a lot to get to do the things that I want to do and I keep dreaming about, but I never really kind of execute on, because I'm afraid of it being rubbish, if you will. But I'm not going to be afraid to be rubbish anymore. If I'm going to be rubbish, I'm going to be rubbish, and I'm going to own it. But we do what we can with what we have, and that's my philosophy. One of my philosophies, actually, that I live by. So in any case, thank you again. Have yourself a good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.